Heuschkeliana in Variegated was on the top of my wish list for such a long time. When I was looking for one, they were still really hard to find, and if you could find one, it was a 2 or 4 leaf cutting, and they were really expensive. A friend of mine happened to be at Kim's Nature in Toronto, and she saw some small pots of them and picked one up for me, and I was thrilled. I think she had about 6 leaves when I got her, and this is what she looks like now. I've chopped and sold cuttings from this plant 6 times, and with each cut she's branched out and started new vines. I really like the idea of her part trailing and part climbing. I now have inner variegated, outer variegated, and 2 green forms, one with yellow blooms and one with pink blooms. I grow Heuschkeliana in many different substrates and conditions. This mama plant is in a chunky but not too chunky mix. I find she likes to stay lightly moist, but also wants to grab onto something with her roots. The Berg's pot she's in, even though it's clay, is excellent at wicking excess water but leaving the substrate damp. She's in my south window, and I fertilise her with a 15-30-15 every second watering, and she also has a couple of slow-release balls in her pot. Humidity around her is between 30 and 45%, and I think that's the reason she hasn't bloomed for me yet. I root the cuttings from this plant in a prop box before acclimating them to my regular household environment for sale, and every one of her cuttings has bloomed while in the box. They have the sweetest little bell-shaped pink blooms. The mama plant has just started working on her very first peduncle for me, so I'm going to say that higher humidity for faster blooms, or wait it out until the plant matures. The outer variegated is new to me. I've had her about 4 months. She came as a 2-leaf cutting, and I popped her in pon and placed her in my south window, and she's done great. I do find Heuschkeliana to be one of my fastest growing Hoyas, especially in a south or west window. The green forms are a bit of a different story. For me, the green form needs higher humidity than I can offer in my home, so they've been living and blooming in my prop box for about a year. I have just, in the last 2 weeks, moved them to my Hoya shell to see how they do. I would class Hoya Heuschkeliana as an in-between Hoya, a little more advanced than beginner, but not too challenging to be intermediate. Either way, the inner variegated is one of my absolute favourite plants.